That first time Arashi dragged Yukari was low-key funny as hell because Yukari low-key got a slick mouth. Sometimes she be saying shit and then she want to turn around and act like that's not what she meant. No, that's what you meant. Just stand by it. Because the first time they asked her to be in the fashion show, all she had to say was no. You feel me? That's all she had to say. Like, she ain't had to get condescending and shit. Talking about, you gotta be kidding me. Like, just leave me alone. What difference does it make? Okay, whatever. I'm gonna give you a pass because, they brought you there. You had fainted, this, that, and the third, whatever the fuck. You're irritated. You're upset. You had somewhere to go. I'm gonna give you a pass with that one. But then this is where she lost me. She said, I got a lot going on. I don't have time to play around with you people. You people? See, now that's where you lost me, because what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Because now I'm finna curse you out. Because you ain't have to do all that. No is a complete sentence. You could just say no. That's all you had to say. What are you talking about, you people? As soon as you add the you in front of the people, it's like, oh, okay. So what did you mean by that? And so that's why Loki wasn't really mad when Arashi got on her ass, because it's just like, you ain't had to do all that shit. You really didn't, because now you being condescending as fuck. Now you talking down on us. You ain't had to do all that. Like, you think you better than us? Like, okay, you're doing tests. We're making outfits and shit. Can you do that? No. Here she go. That's not what I meant. He was like, you can't even tell when you're being condescending. You suck. Go to hell. No, because honestly, one thing about Yukari, okay, she got a slick ass mouth, and then she gonna be condescending. She gonna talk down on you. She gonna be rude to you. That tongue is sharp. And then when you call her ass out on it, she be like, that's not what I meant. Like, why are you being mean to me? Like, what's going on? Girl. He said, you suck. Go to hell. And she like, you're the one who thinks you can insult me all you want. But girl, who started it though? Because what did you mean by you people? Like, don't play. Don't act like you know. Act like you know. She loved playing victim. Act like you know. I think one of the reasons why Yukari was drawn to George so much was because he reminded her of her mom. And it's funny because Yukari reminded George of his mom. And reading this as a parent really just shows the importance of having a healthy bond with your child, hearing them out, hearing their hopes and dreams, encouraging them to have hopes and dreams, because this should not have been like the first time Yukari felt validated in someone listening to her talk about her life and what she wants to do with her life. Like the fact that George gave her the floor to talk and was just like, it's your life, right? Like, tell me, I'll listen. And she's just used to being like, oh, listen to me complaining. It's okay. Like, I don't want you to think it's stupid or weird or annoying. That shows that she never got that. Like, all these decisions were being made for her. And so when someone actually gave her the floor, she felt like she was just going to start crying because that's how emotional she was getting. And she was like, oh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go. But it's just like, that's powerful for her. So of course she's going to be drawn to him, on top of the fact that, she's attracted to him. That alone lit a flame inside of her to where she's just like, he's different. Everybody at the Atelier, or is it Atelier? Atelier is different. They chose their path themselves. And since she's kind of just been on autopilot doing what her parents has told her to do, but she has no passion to actually do it, of course she's going to be attracted to, what they're doing and even him. Now, I'm not saying if she had a better relationship with her mother that she wouldn't be attracted to George. I do think, they just found each other attractive. But I just feel like she wouldn't be so deprived of freedom or creativity, or ambition. She would have already had that if she would have had these type of conversations with her parents or with her mom, instead of just being shut down. Because even this interaction, even when he asked her to be the model, she was saying, my heart can't stop fluttering. Like, why is that? But it's just like, again, something ignited in her. Someone is giving her a choice to do something different, to, go off script. That's exciting. And also it's putting her life in her hands. But it's funny because, of course, that reels her in. But when it comes to George, even when, she says, I'm willing to be the model, he doesn't seem thrilled, even though he says he is. But I think that reminds her of her mother, to where it's somebody who isn't necessarily easily pleased. And you kind of have to work for their approval or for their happiness or validation. And so even though it kind of like drives her crazy, it's very familiar. And it's toxic because her and her mother don't have a healthy relationship either. And so even when he's just like, I'm thrilled, and she's just like, what? It's like that push and pull that I'm sure she gets with her mother as well, where, okay, when she does something that her mother approves of, now she gets that, validation that she's been craving. But, otherwise it's kind of cold. So ultimately she's kind of like dating her mom. Not George isn't like a spitting image of her mom in male form, no, but she's dating someone similar to her mom. You know how they say you either run away from the type of parent that you had or you run toward them. Yukari ran toward her. And same thing with George. Yukari reminds George heavily of his mother. And that's why he can't stand her personality. Of course, he's attracted to her. Like, he's like, literally everything about her body and how she looks is on point. But he's like, why does she got that personality though? And that's why I love the scene where Yukari's listening to his mom and she's really realizing, oh, ew. Oh, actually, he doesn't want me to turn out like his mom. That's why he be talking to me like that, because I don't want to turn out like his mom. Like, she's selfish. She only think about herself, and look how she act. And that's why she was like, you know what? I will never become a person that can't change how they behave. And this is why this scene was critical. It really was, because it's just like she was never able to see how she was acting Yukari. And George was reading her for filth sometimes, I will say, but it was because he saw his mama in her. And it would piss him off, right? But it's, again, she was not able to see it until she had to look in the mirror and look at his mama and be like, ooh, actually, I don't want to turn out like that. And right after that is actually when she went to go tell George, actually, I'm going to go home. I think I'm good. I think I'm going to go because I cannot turn out like that. And George and Yukari relationship is funny because sometimes it be so unserious to where you got to remember, like, oh yeah, they're high school students. Like, they're what, like 17, 18, like they're kids. Because the fact that George really thought, like, oh, you know what, I'm going to find her at the library, but not only am I going to meet her there, I'm going to sit right in front of her and act like it's just a coinkydink. And mind you, she fell for the shit. She did. And he ended up sitting at a different table knowing that that was going to draw her in, and end up leaving, going outside, not saying bye to her. And what she do? She ended up coming outside with some food. Like, please be so for real. But mind you, it worked because they young as fuck and unserious, like they kids. And even that time when he ignored her when he saw her with Hito, I'm like, boy, I know you fucking lying. How the fuck you want me to be your model, but because you see me out with old dude and you don't even know our relationship for real, you just see me out with old dude and you just gonna ignore me straight to my face? Even when I call your name, you're not gonna say nothing? Like, but again, moody young adult, moody teenager vibes. Like, it makes sense. These are not, grown people. And then when they see each other, she like, why are you ignoring me? He talking about jealousy, I suppose. I'm just hurt. Let me be. Boy. He reminded me of that sound where it's just like, let me just have my little attitude, whatever. And he talking about, it was pretty damaging to see you, to see you with another guy. Like, boy, you are not my man. But it's so funny because it's like, that's how it be when you have a crush. But mind you, they just met each other. But again, they're highly attracted to each other. So it's just funny for him to just be so dramatic, talking about it was damaging. Oh boy, please. Talking about, am I falling for you? Boy, I don't know. Like, you ask me. But it's funny because they're literally feeling the same way. That's why that shit was funny. But it's like, again, kids just unserious as hell. But then it's crazy because then you get later on like some real ass growth and conversations that come with this relationship. Like, I honestly feel like George, like this relationship with George was something that Yukari definitely needed. I mean, honestly, she needed to meet everybody, Miwako, all of them, right? And she needed to find her own path. Because she wasn't passionate with what she was doing. She was really just going to school because, again, she was talking about her parents don't see, if you don't get a high education or if you don't go to college, her parents don't even view you as an actual person. So, of course, if those are your parents, of course, you're going to go to school. But she's not passionate. And just imagine, like, what kind of life that she was going to have if she's just, again, just kind of like a robot, just getting by. So I do feel like she needed to meet these people. She needed to be in this type of weird relationship, unhealthy relationship with George, so that she can grow and meet his mama, so she can see what she doesn't want to turn out to be like. and kind of like the route she was going with, never really taking accountability, always blaming other people, being selfish and things like that, not being really dependent, so that ultimately she can find her voice, she can find her style, she can find, her passion and something that she's genuinely ambitious about and happy to do. And just again, just finding herself. Like, she needed this. I feel like they both grew from this relationship, but I do feel like a lot of the growth was on Yukari's side. But you get scenes like this where, she didn't end up telling him about, her modeling gig. And she thought that in that moment, the night before the scene, she thought that in that moment, what he would have liked more is to, sleep, for her to sleep with him rather than to tell her big news. Now, mind you, he's like, look, this is my whole shit. Why wouldn't I want to hear about you getting, the modeling gig? Like, what sense, or the modeling agency, what sense does that make? Like, he was like, I just thought you were a foolish girl if you thought last night that sleeping with me, was more important than becoming a model. And when you really understand George and you look at like how you even met him, that does make sense, because it's like, girl, what the fuck? But again, she was just like, I really just wanted you by my side. Like, and that's something that he doesn't like. This is why I made that video saying that the girl Kaori is the type of girl George wants and the type of girl that he needs, because she will not prioritize him, and she's always kind of like out of reach. He's always going to be kind of like going after her because she's so independent. She doesn't need him. She's not going to prioritize him. He is not going to be her whole world. He wants somebody independent who does not need him, who's kind of like smarter than him, kind of like better than him, or more advanced than him in some way, shape, or form, to where he can always be going after her, chasing her. And just like how, Yukari was just like, I just wanted to be by your side. That's fine. But again, with George, he needs like a Kaori, to where it was just like, when he was in her presence, she was like, oh yeah, no, you a distraction. Let me go ahead and get my stuff. She only came back for him after she sealed the deal with her stuff. So it's like, that's the type of girl that he needs, because he won't have so much influence over her decisions and over her life. He knows what she's doing is because she wants to do it. It's not going to be something that Yukari like to do, is like kind of blame other people for the actions or the choices that she made, when really it was like, well, you wanted to make that choice or you wanted to do that thing. Don't blame it on me now, because that's something that his mama does, and always blaming, the way her life is because of birthing him. And he's just like, well, hey, that was your decision, girl. Why are you blaming me? The fuck? I didn't ask to be born. So it's crazy, because it's like, again, they're so young, and so there's like parts where it's just like unserious as fuck, but things get real. It's like, damn, that's some real shit though. That's some shit she gonna take with her for the rest of her life type shit. Like, so it did get real. But you be forgetting, like, damn, they just so young though. It's crazy. But I it's like, just like how the Atelier, it had butterflies on the door. Like, this was supposed to be something that was going to transform Yukari, right? And I feel like, honestly, the Atelier just symbolizes transformation in general, whether it's them creating clothes and it transforms their models, or whatever the case is. It's a transformation. It's like you're going in, you're in a cocoon, going in a caterpillar, coming out a butterfly, right? And even when you think about caterpillars and butterflies, how, caterpillars, they kind of seem dull, right? And even fashion wise, right? What did Yukari go in looking like with her little school outfit? Like a caterpillar, dull, hair, not with the bangs done, whatever the case is. And then she came out eventually with the bangs, with the makeup done, with the style, with a whole new outlook on life, going to a modeling agency, like a butterfly, right? And so it's really cool to see. I'm just like, damn, if she never would have met them though, where would she have been? Okay, so if I read Neighborhood Story, is it going to give me all the tea on Arashi, Mawako, and Hiro? Or is it just going to be focusing on Mawako's older sister? Because I do want to know a little bit more about this throuple situation, because it was extremely messy. Because for Mawako, 2 years into her and Arashi's relationship, still saying that she loves Arashi and Hiro equally? What happened in that damn neighborhood? Until this day, she's still eating these little candies that's supposed to symbolize Hiro and Arashi's love. What is going on? And the main reason why I would want to read Neighborhood Story, because I want to see how this conversation went down. Mawako said that when she told Arashi that she loves him and Hiro equally, he got really angry and he told her to never see Hiro again. And if Mawako did, he'd break things off. Because basically after hearing that, Yukari was like, well, doesn't that mean you like Arashi more? Because why would you follow through with that if you liked Hiro more? Or if you truly like them equally. Because just with the threat of Arashi breaking things off with her and leaving her alone, she actually did go tell Hiro that she doesn't want to see him anymore. But I want to read it for myself because I want to see if it was the fact that she loved Arashi more, or if it was the fact that Hiro was already going to be leaving, because she was saying, Hiro had moved away and changed schools, so she couldn't see him often. So did he already move before she told him that she don't want to see him no more and before he confessed his love? Or did that happen after? And I want to know, was it just the fact that Arashi was the louder one and the more aggressive one, being like, well, look, it's going to be between me and him. You can't have, the best of both worlds. Because it sounded like Mawako had 2 boyfriends in this bitch. She was trying to do a little Olivia Pope. Talking about, look, I want Jake and Fitz. I want to stand with you in the sun in Vermont. Because listening to Mawako, it sounded like her and Arashi just together out of convenience. Like, okay, well, she like, I don't know. Doesn't mean that I like him more. Girl, you've been in this relationship for 2 years now. What, you tell me. She like, well, why you choose him in the first place? She talking about, well, I mean, Hiro moved away. I couldn't really see him like that. And Arashi was here every day. So I'm like, okay, was he just convenient? Is that what it was? If Hiro would have never left, would you have been with him? I don't know, girl. You losing me, because if you was a dude, they would call your ass a player and say that you wasn't shit for not being able to choose. So what we doing for real? Because what is given low key is that Arashi low key knew that maybe Hiro was gonna get her because he feels inferior to Hiro. And so he had to threaten his way into making sure that she cuts things off with him. That's what it was low key given. And so now he's weaponizing his friendship. Like, okay, well, if you don't end things with him, we done. Like, straight up. And not even in even a relationship way. Like, Arashi's very emotional to where it's just like, I don't want to talk to you at all type shit. Which I get on a certain level. But also, we know how Arashi is. He got a sharp tongue. So I'm just like, I wonder how that went. Because it's like, it wasn't even like, oh, it's either him or me. It's like, no, I don't want you talking to him no more. And you need to tell him to stay away from you. What? So, okay, so you insecure as fuck. Okay. Got it. But again, like I said, I want to see how that went down. Because then soon after we see like, okay, the first time they do something is because he raped her. So I'm not gonna lie, Arashi and Mawako aren't cute to me. They're not. On top of the fact that Mawako, I had watched a little bit of the anime. I think I watched maybe 1 or 2 episodes, maybe 3, before I just switched to the manga because I could not stand Mawako's voice. I couldn't stand Mawako's voice. And I was just like, I don't like that. On top of that, it was really slow. The pacing was really slow. So I like the fact that I was able to just get the whole story real quick, read at my own pace. So they really wasn't cute when I saw them doing their little stuff in the manga. I was like, oh, she act like a little ass girl. I don't think, what you find sexy about that? That's weird. But I mean, hey, if you in love with her, I guess. But she acted like a little girl. Talking in third person and all. Anyway, yeah, I'm like, so did this man force you into the relationship? Like, is that what's going on? And then you just trying to love all of him? And is that what's happening right here? Because I can't really find that really cute. I'm sorry. I don't. Yikes. And Arashi better be glad that he don't moved on from the situation, because he could have got his ass beat in this conversation. Because Arashi talking about, why don't you do something? Mawako's only going to get worse if she stay with me. He like, it sounds like the problem here is you and not her. Arashi talking about, you're so damn thick. Mawako's in love with you. He like, I know that. The fuck? I tried. Look, I tried. She chose you anyway. So now what? He said, you stole her. Don't come crying to me now. Like, who do you think you are? What's going on? And then you're going to tell me she didn't have a choice. Okay. So then he was like, oh, okay. So she resisted you. He clocked that fast. He said, oh, so the first time y'all did it, you raped her. Basically, read him for filth. Like, how, just imagine though. Imagine if he was still like in love with her the same way he was in love with her 2 years ago, Hiro probably would have beat Arashi's ass right here. He's basically mapping out what exactly happened. And look at Arashi, guilty as hell. You could not control her any other way, so you decided to turn her into a sexual object and monopolize her like that because you knew that you felt inferior to me. Really? Talking about the more she resisted, the more you wanted it. How scary. Like, that is insane. And I'm glad we see Hiro's like inner monologue during all this. He's just like, you're the worst. Like, I want to kill you, bro. But it's like he's not going to act on it because, again, Miwako chose you. And it is what it is. And I'm already moved on from it. Y'all might as well just be together now. But it's just like, you're the worst, bro. Like, what are you talking about? That's insane. And I kind of wish they expanded on this situation and this happening a little bit more than just this conversation, because it's like this happens so often. And yes, they're kids. So that happened 2 years ago. So that what was like when they were 15, 16. They're kids, they're young, whatever. But this is people's, like a lot of people's stories where it's like somebody that you do love, you do have feelings for. They're close to you. It's not stranger danger, right? And they force themselves on you. And now she wakes up the next day smiling, acting like nothing happened. And now y'all in a relationship, basically. What? So although Arashi and Miwako have feelings, what kickstarted their relationship was the fact that Arashi raped her. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, actually. But when you ask Miwako, why did she choose Arashi? She say, oh, it's because Hiro, he left for school. Arashi was always here. And then, it kind of just happened. No, girl, you were raped. And then you stayed with him. That's what happened. And yes, there is nuance to the situation. Because, no, this is not a random stranger who raped her. They already have feelings for each other, whatever. But it's still wrong as hell. And it's still like, whoa, that's how it started? That's how it started. That's crazy. And it also hit deeper because it was intentional. It was intentional. Because Arashi felt inferior, he raped her. I'm like, wow. That's like, I don't know. I feel like this scene was so good. But I just kind of feel like because Miwako and Arashi aren't the main characters, this just gets brushed over. And I'm like, you did it. Yes. All right, woohoo. I was saying because they're not the main characters, they just, kind of portray them as like, oh, that little horny couple. And I say horny couple because y'all remember when, Yukari came through the atelier and they was on the pool table. Okay? Just for us to find out like, oh, that's how y'all started off. Oh, okay. Or even after the conversations that she had with Yukari talking about the situation, she gonna go home to, Arashi and be like, Miwako wants to do anything that makes you feel good tonight. Just knowing that, like, what their foundation is and why she acts like that is to basically coddle his fragile ego. It's not cute. I'm sorry. But again, I understand this is a coming of age story as well. So I'm just like, hopefully they get it together because, look, she chose him. She chose him, but ugh. And it's crazy because as you mature and your frontal lobe develops, you really realize a lot, if not most, of young relationships are just ew. Like, damn. But again, this is people learning how to be in relationships, learning what love is. They're bringing their traumas into their relationships, their biases, their insecurities, all of that. So then you're just like, damn, most relationships at young ages, like, that's just what it is. It is unhealthy. It is toxic. It can be abusive. Like, a lot of shit. And you're just like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. But then it's framed as something cute or as love or, whatever. And I guess that is love for them at the time and what they believe it to be. But damn, this is crazy. That's why actually a lot of these relationships, if you reread the shit when you adult, you're like, what the hell? And I just feel like with Paradise Kiss, George liked Yukari as a muse, and Yukari was having her first love experience, right? And the thing is, I don't think George loved Yukari, or like, I don't even think he fell in love with Yukari. I do feel like Yukari was like, you know, that childish first love type stuff. I feel like that was what Yukari was going through, you know, and that it sparked change in her. It sparked a transformation in her. George and her were at different points in their lives. The growth that Yukari was feeling and experiencing in the manga, George already went through that a long time ago. So he already knows what he wants. He knows who he is more than Yukari, right? I mean, they're only 17, 18. But he knows more than Yukari, right? Yukari coming up from this background where she never was able to choose things for herself. She wasn't passionate about anything. She didn't know what she wanted to do in life. She was just kind of like on autopilot because of her parents. And then she meets George, who knows what he wants to do. He had to grow up really quickly because his mama is a damn child. You feel me? And blamed him for her life failing, even though she chose to have him. He grew up really quickly. He had to mature pretty quickly too. Does that mean he's the most mature person? Absolutely not. But just in a sense of like, he can't be mentally like a little kid in every aspect of his life and just allow his parents to do things for him, because that's just not the environment, or to choose things for him because that's just not the environment that he had. He was very privileged, yes, but he also had to be the adult when it came to his dynamic with his mother. On top of, like I said, he's passionate about something. He's really good at something, right? And so with them meeting, that's why he would be irritated with her personality, because he's just like, damn, she just like my mama for real. She always blaming other people. She's selfish. She don't know what the fuck she want. You know, it's like he didn't like that personality. It reminded his mom of his mom, but her body and her looks is exactly his type. He's just like, damn. Like he said to Kaori, he was like, it seemed like she was put on this earth just to trifle with me. And Kaori was like, oh, you so privileged thinking that somebody was born just for you. But anyway, point of the matter is, speaking of Kaori, I think that she is the ideal type of girl for him. I don't know if it's going to be her specifically, but I do think her type, the fact that they're in the same field, right? So she can truly appreciate the work. So already that's a plus, right? Because Yukari had to come to understand and appreciate what they were doing for a living, for one. For two, Kaori, she's business first. Like, she came back for him after he was no longer a distraction. He don't want nobody that has to cling to him. He don't want nobody that can be distracted by him. He wants somebody who's independent, because again, that mama wound, she's so dependent and she's always blaming others for, you know, what she got going on. So he wants somebody who doesn't need him. So that is what's attractive to him. He's attracted to assertive women, independent women, and I think goal-oriented women, you know. And for Yukari, who, although she had the looks, she didn't have any of that when they first met. And it wasn't until Yukari saw the mama and saw how George's mama was acting and was like, ooh. And she kind of saw herself in that, and she could understand now why George act the way that he does. She was like, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't want to turn out like that. So let me get my shit together. Let me move up out his place. Because even in doing that, staying with him and being in that situation, you're being dependent. And although y'all having sex and doing this, doing that, and it seem all fine and dandy, he really not fucking with that for real. You're not the ideal girl. Just like how in the moment where, you know, she had the choice to tell George about the modeling agency, but instead she chose to sleep with him, and he was pissed off about that because he had to find out from, you know, everybody else. He was just like, I'm just thinking you foolish as hell to think that I would care about sex more than you becoming a model. Who do you think I am? What are we doing here? What's going on, right? So even in that turned him off too, because just like, again, why do you think the sex would be more important? But again, that's just, again, Yukari being like, I just want to be by your side. Again, her centering him. He does not like that. He don't really like male-centered women for real. And which is crazy, because even though he could be moody and this, that, and third, he wants somebody who can be like, oh boy, get over yourself and move around, right? So anyway, I think that's the difference between like the ways that Yukari and George feel for each other. I do feel like there were genuine feelings on both sides. It's just different. It's just different, right? This experience that Yukari's having with him is like her first experience with a boy in general, Meanwhile, George, we know, first of all, and that's not talked about enough. George, isn't that teacher messing with George? They barely talk about it. But yeah, like, the fuck? What is going on? That's not okay. And that just gets brushed over, breezed over. Like, what the hell? And again, I know, everybody's like, oh, well, the age of consent is different in Japan. I don't care. That's a social construct, honey. What's going on? But again, even with that, right? Even with that little tidbit, it's like, oh, George has already experienced a lot of these things already. This is not his first rodeo, basically. So he's not infatuated. He's not, he likes her. And even when he was just like, I don't know, am I falling in love? Like, I feel like she definitely evoked some type of feelings. And that's why I say it was more like a muse, though. Because at the end, you can see that, he's hurt to have to leave her. But I just don't feel like he was in love with her. But at the same time, somebody could argue, oh, well, everybody loves differently and it shows up in everybody differently. And that's true. That is true. How Yukari loves may not be the same way how George loves. But it just, to me, it was just giving more of like a muse. Like, and the fact now that he has to separate from her. You get me? But also, and I won't say it was just strictly a muse. I do feel like she grew on him. But I do feel like at the end of the day, she just wasn't his type when it came to the personality. But ultimately, for Yukari, George was a stepping stone for her to figure out who she was. Her and the Atelier and Miwako and meeting everybody, I just feel like she needed that. Because if not, she would have ended up being unhappy. And who knows where she would have ended up. But it's just like, she absolutely needed that. That's why the Atelier has the butterflies. That's why even when her and George first start flirting with each other after, he saw her with Hito and stuff like that, the butterflies are around them because it was the transformation that she needed to get her wings, right? So it's, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, it was toxic. It was unhealthy as fuck. But it was something that, she ultimately needed to, really spread her wings and fly, ultimately. And she killing it as a model. And she got her man. Right? Years go by, she dated, and then she settled down with Hito. So it's like, okay, cool. Everything worked out.